Good evening and welcome to the Stock Planner channel. Tonight I want to discuss the Zig Zag Indicator. Particularly I want to answer two questions. What do I mean when I say there's been a regime change? And how do you know when the Zig is changing soon to the Zag? So here's a daily chart of the Apple. And you can see we have a Zig and a Zag, a Zig and a Zag. And this zig becomes a zag at the right moment. The zigzag indicator is nearly perfect. Always knows where the bottoms and the tops are. And to do that, it looks a little bit ahead, 2 bars ahead. And that way, it looks to 2 bars and 2 bars down, and that's called a fractal. There's fractals, a fractal here, a fractal there, a fractal there. This is a fractal, a fractal, a fractal, 2 bars below and the peak, and then 2 bars after, and that's when you can take the trade. A fractal. It looks ahead. Zigzag is perfect indicator only because it can look ahead and know exactly when to turn. So in answer to the first question, how do you tell when there's been a regime change? Well, we have a zig here. The trend is up, and now the trend is down. And I use the term regime change when it switches down and switches to up, down. So we had regime changes. So when I see a peak, a long peak, and then it switches, I use the term regime change. And that's where I'd like to take my RSI trade 2 bars after a regime change. And after the RSI comes below the 70 or crosses above the 30. In this case, it does cross above the 30, but there hasn't been a regime change, so you wouldn't take that trade. Right here, it crosses. There has been a regime change, and you take this trade for a nice little swing up. And if you held it, it would be a very, very nice trade. So the second question I want to answer is, how do you tell when the zig is going to turn into a zag or vice versa? Let's look at Apple. And what I do is I scan for over a watch list of stocks. I can do this quite fast. The zig is well defined and it's continuing. This bar is a red candle and it's continuing down. There's no doubt that this is a down and the zig is going to continue. Also, the zig came down here. The close of today was a little higher than yesterday. And so there is no bar underneath this bar. There's no line underneath this bar. It's open. So the zig is undecided. This is an area where it might change. It might change tomorrow. Let's see what the RSI says. RSI is still below the 30, and we have to wait till it comes back. So we're about maybe 1 day or 2 for a switch. But Telsa is 1 bar undecided. And if this next bar comes up, this will be a fractal. And it'll be a switch here, and it'll be a new line. It might be a minor green line, dotted, a dashed line, but you'll see a trend line form if tomorrow's bar is higher than today's. So Telsa is one that you would might have a regime change, might have a switch tomorrow. Amazon, this bar closed above yesterday's close. And you might have a regime change, but up until yesterday, this was a well-defined downtrend. Facebook, 2 or 3 bars now of undecidedness. The zigzag, remember, it's perfect, but now it's not perfect. It's still deciding what's going on, and so this is an area where it might soon change. We got an MACD going up, but the RSI is trending up. You could take this trade if you wanted, but I'd wait till you had more or less indecisiveness. Netflix, the zigzag surely knows what it's doing. It had a long red bar. This is well defined. It's not undecided. It's going. You see, this is a minor uptrend, but this one it's well defined. So nothing's going to happen for at least 2 more bars. We have a secondary trend. We have an MACD crossover, but it's not below the 0. Got the RSI creeping up above, and when it crosses the 30, you could take a trade. But this is a down long red bar for down. So you have, and you get a minor zig line here. You just got to wait. Microsoft. The zig is undecided. Got 2 bars. We need a green candle tomorrow, and then you can take a long trade. RSI is below the 30, but it would take a long green bar, put it above it. So Microsoft just might be turning crisper. 1 bar undecided. You need 2 bars. The perfect indicator needs at least 2 bars to be able to switch, and so you have to wait. RSI is below, so you have to wait before you take a trade. You have to wait till it comes back around. You do have a MACD 2 bars back to go long, and it's well below the 0 line. This is the one I like, but you have to wait. So to see if something's going to happen with a zigzag indicator, it has to be undecided. The perfect indicator has to not know what it's doing. It has to wait at least 2 or 3 bars before it can define itself. And before we can take an RSI trade or an MACD trade, we need to see that switch, that regime change. You can't take a long trade here while this still is going down. So I hope that helps. So what I can do this quite quickly is go down the list and see which one has an open bars, and then I look further. So you could go through a watch list of about 75 stocks quite quickly, looking for the zigzag that's open and undecided. And once you see that, then you need to investigate further. You need to look at the MACD if you're trading that, or the RSI, or both. I hope this helps. Please like and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.